Hey everybody, it's your man Type coming to you with another true spook story. Before we begin, I'm gonna ask that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share me if you think the content is worthy. Now, with that being out of the way, let's begin. This story takes place in Oakland, Florida, about 35, 40 miles from Orlando heading west on Colonial Drive. Well, I was 21, probably 22 at the time. I had taken a second job as a pizza delivery driver, and it was at Papa John's. But since at that time, Ocoee was just being developed, and Oakland was the next city over. So we would have to drive a good little distance. It would be a rush, and we only did deliveries after 10 o'clock at night. Late shift. And we charged them, and Papa John's charged them an arm and a leg for that. So we was getting tipped up. We was making great cash doing that, whoever braved the long trip. Well, one night came, and nobody else wanted to go out there, and they said, hey, Tyke, you want a delivery? It's the last delivery of the night. We'll go ahead and give it to you. I said, sure, whatever. I knew I could charm the people at the door, get a tip. And I have never been to Oakland, Florida in my life. So at that time, we had GPS systems that we used to plug into the cigarette port of our cars. I don't think the cell phones was advanced enough to have GPS system on them. So I type in the address in my GPS, and I load up the pizzas, and I'm headed that way. Boom. I'm floating. I'm listening to me some Trick Daddy, Van Halen. I had a hell of a mix, right? So I'm driving. So I get to the address. Now, people, let me explain to you how this looked. First, you're on Colonial Drive. Then you turn off on this dark roads with no street lights, but it's a lot of bushes, but you can see the road. It's fairly lit from the moonlight or from the street lights on the edge or from the lights from the surrounding porches of the houses that align the street, but it was a dirt road. So now you go down this dirt road, winding path. You have to turn on your high beams to really see good. So I got my high beams on, I'm worrying about I'm gonna see a deer run out and smash it up, or a pothole, or, big dip. So none of that happened. So then when I slow down and I get to the address, I had to make a right hand turn into the people's property. Now, true Spook fans, when I say, I'm gonna give you a ratio of how long it took me to get close to the house from turning into these people's property. I was doing about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and it took me 2 minutes to get my car from where the gate started all the way up to about 20 feet from the carport, the door. And nobody had a driveway. This is all land with the house sitting on it. So as I'm sitting up there, and I'm like, okay, this looks scary, spooky, everything going through my mind. Jason Voorhees, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Children of the Corn. Man, I am livid. I know I'm a black guy, black pizza delivery driver in an all-white city, and I think it was a sundown town prior to that, from what the old folks used to tell me. But that 21, 22, we didn't care about that shit. We about money. Everybody's liberal. Everybody's not racist anymore. So I thought. So I always had, I was a registered firearm carrier, which I still am today. I believe in guns. So I say, okay, let me get my little Taurus out, 12 shot Taurus. I think it was a PT 1119 or PT 119 Taurus or one of those ones. So I knew it had 13 bullets in it with one in the clip. So I get it out, and I had this strategy when I go into spooky places to deliver the pizzas. I would always put the gun in the palm of my left hand with my hand not on the trigger but resting next to it in case I had to pop off. I would take the pizza bag and put it on top of the gun and carry it in my hand like, you know, a waiter would carry your tray. If they was arming 3 or 4 tray plates, carry it like that. So I would take out all the money. I always made change, 2 5s, 10 ones, and I would set that in my right pocket. So I did everything so I wouldn't have to expose the hand with the gun in it. So my thing was, when I go to the door, I shove the pizza, I aim the pizza at them. I flip everything down with my right hand. I have them place the money on top of the bag. I put the change on top of the bag, and we do everything exchange on top of the pizza bag. And as I turn off, I never like crumble the bag. I just grab the money, the bag, and I walk off, pressing it down as if I'm pressing 2 plates together. It worked for me every time. So I do the same thing, walk up to the door, ring the doorbell with the gun in my hand. So I'm feeling pretty confident. So as I get to the door, ring the doorbell, I hear 3 or 4 pickup trucks wrangling coming up the drive, and you can hear the loud music. You can hear the loud music, and everything was just bumping, and I'm like, oh shit, what we got going on now? So, you know, I'm terrified because it is what it is. I'm terrified here, people. Can't front you on this one. So as I'm sitting up there and I ring the doorbell, ding dong, I could see the glass pane through the glass door that, you know, a lady was coming. She was dressed in a pink little nightgown, something like that. And so it was an older woman. When she opened the door, I was relieved. It was an old Caucasian woman, very nice smile to her. And I said, good evening, ma'am. I said, here's your order. And she was just a smiling, and she was just a smiling at me. And she's like, you little cutie. I said, yes, ma'am, thank you. And, you know, so I'm calm now. I'm calm. It's cool. She's okay. So yes, I'm okay. So she gets to talking to me, and she gets to telling me everything, and how, you know, black people wasn't allowed to come there when she was a youngster, and she glad everything changed. And she was like, she think we're funny on TV. You know, she's an older woman, probably in her 70s, so you got a lot for that stuff. You can't get mad at that type of stuff because that's how she was raised. That's what she knows. But the fact that she was making leeway, in my mind, was a good thing, because she probably grew up racist because she lived in that town all day long, but she was making change, and she saw favor to, you know, be cool with me. So I said, yes, ma'am. I said, I heard stories. I say, and I try to tell her, you know, I heard stories, but times have changed. People are a little bit more tolerant nowadays. I say, thank God, because I say there's beautiful people on both sides of the spectrum. And she was like, yeah, you right. And she said, how much I owe you? So I felt real comfortable with her. So I say, the total is 32. I say the total is 32, like 43. It came to like $36. And she said, okay. So she grabbed her purse off the little table next to the door. And when I looked back, the noise and the pickup trucks I heard coming up the road, they turned up in her driveway. And it was 3 of them. And they parked, and it was spooky as fuck, people. Let me tell you, I was about to crap a brick if I had one. So before I go any further, I want to tell you how I got out of my car. I jumped the gun, good people. So when I got out of my car, because there was no lights in the field in front of the house, the driveway. So I left the headlights of my car on. I turned the car off, put the keys in I turned the car off, and I thought I put the keys in my pocket, but I just turned them off in the ignition. But I left the lights on, so I can see, you know. So as I'm sitting up there, I look back. I can only, because my lights was blinding me, so I can only see the shadows of the trucks until they lights came, and then I seen everybody jump out of them, and it was about 12, 13 young white guys. Probably the oldest one had to be about 25, 26, and they was making all these noise. They was rebel rousing. They was pulling out their beers and stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I'm in shit water now. I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, I only got 13 bullets, and I hope they don't hurt me and everything of that nature there. So I'm spooking, y'all. I'm panicking, and I'm so fucked up. I can't even describe it. I'm having flashbacks thinking about it now. So when they pulled up, the old lady, her demeanor changed. It wasn't such a pleasant conversation anymore. Her face had gotten really tight, and she was gritting her teeth, the ones she had left. And she was like, so you say I owe you about $36? You say, I suspect you want a tip, don't you? And she was talking really loud so they can overhear. And I say, whatever you decide, ma'am. I say, it's getting a little late, and I just want to go ahead and get on back to the shop. This is my last run, trying to make conversation. She say, hold on right there. Hold on. She say, don't you go no goddamn where. Don't you move off that porch. I said, yes, ma'am. So as I'm staying there and I'm sweating, everybody's lining up behind me. I'm hearing them talk. Some people walking around the back of the house. Some people just flopping up on the porch, and they just making noise, and they putting their beers and everything. And then they was like, the pizza man. And they was telling me things like, make me laugh, telling me a joke. I know you know a joke. Y'all got jokes for days. And I like, man, listen, I'm not a comedian. I say, I'm a pizza driver, bro. I said, that's all you're getting out of me. I said, I never was funny in school, let alone I never even made a fucking joke in my life. I'm trying to sound hard, but stand my ground, because I ain't want to be shaking and quivering. Although real nigga talk, I was scared. It is what it is. So the lady came back. She put the money on the bag. Everything was going on exchange like it was. And she put the money on the bag, and she didn't give me a tip. I saw she gave me $36 even. So I didn't complain. I just said, yes, ma'am. I say, y'all, you have a great day, ma'am. And so as I went to turn around, she said, hey, stop. And when she said it so loud, everybody stopped and looked at me as if I had did something. So I'm like, man, I got to bust this trigger. I say, I know I'm going to prison, because I ain't finna let them off me. And I'm on their property, so guess what? I'm at fault, whether I'm delivering a pizza from defending myself. The South is fickle like that, So she say, hold on, I'm gonna give you something, young man. I say, yes, ma'am. So I stood there. She went back in the house, back upstairs, and I could see her coming down, and she came down and she brought me a little blue Bible. And in the blue Bible, she said, you need to get your soul right with God. She was just being real mean and bitchy, because it's like her demeanor changed. She wasn't friendly anymore. So you need to get your life right with Christ, and you have a salvation, and you need to read the Bible. And she told me a Bible verse. If I'm not mistaken, it was something out of Matthew. But I didn't know. So I took the Bible. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I say, my mama was a good Christian too, and my grandmama. So I can respect this. Thank you so much. And all of the grandsons, nephews, or sons, whoever they was, they were like, yeah, with your heathen ass. They making all kind of jokes. Some of them were kind of racial, but they wasn't saying nigga or nothing like that. But you could tell it was a petty situation. So I went back to my car, and there was a guy standing out there still in the pickup truck. I don't know, was he taking a piss behind my car or on my car or anything, but he was taking him a piss. because I heard the water as I walked up, and the driveway was so long. I mean, the walkway was so long to walk back to my car. All of a sudden, I see him go inside my car. I see my car door open, and he turns off the headlights. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm checking my pocket a little bit to make sure I got my keys, because I'm still not ready to bust that trigger, because I don't know what's going on. So I get to the car and he says, you didn't even have your car crunk up, stupid. You're going to kill your battery. Say just having the runners on. That's what he called the headlights, running lights, I guess. He said, just for having the runners on, you'll kill your damn battery. And the last thing you want to do is be caught out of here for about more than an hour. He said, it ain't kind to your kind. And he like made a little joke. And, you know, I thanked him. Thank you, my man. I said, I appreciate that. He said, don't appreciate nothing. Come on now, get on out of here. And I said, sure thing. So I looked and I was checking my pockets, and everybody was like, is everything okay? Everything okay out there? I say, I think I dropped my keys in the yard. He say, woo, we got us a brand new car, y'all. And everybody started laughing, and then they fucking ignored me like I was nothing. So then I slapped my pocket and I realized the keys wasn't in there. So I sat down and I'm like, okay, let me see, can I call somebody? So I looked and the keys were still in the ignition. Cool. So as I go to back up, they had parked their truck so close to the bumper end of my car that if I would have swayed just a second, I would have hit they shit. And God knows it would have been a motherfucking travesty. So I managed to thread the needle and get through them. So as I'm going through them, you know, I spin around in the yard, you know, and I don't hightail it out of there because I'm not trying to tear up these people's yards, and that'll be an excuse for them to follow me or trump some charges up on me. I'm telling people, living here in the South is very fucking scary. When you 21, 22, and you in the middle of nowhere, and you in a sundown town, and it's 10 p.m. at night, or what used to be a sundown town. So, you know, you got to be very cautious and tread very carefully. So I drove out there slow and everything, and it was, I mean, I was happy I got away. So I put the Bible in the glove box, never thinking to check the Bible that the old lady gave me. I'm just thinking, I'm just glad to get out of there. So I get to the house. So as I'm leaving out of the property, I look up in the tree, like right outside of their gate. You know, because coming in, I didn't see it, but going out, you know, I'm looking at everything. So I look up and I see 3 nooses hanging in the tree. 1, 2, 3. One longer than the other hanging down. So I'm fucking afraid here. And you could tell the nooses wasn't fresh. That was just part of the decor of the thing. The tree had no leaves on it or anything. It just was there. So now I'm spooked, truly spooked the fuck out, right? So I'm driving and I'm going up slow, and I'm still waiting on a deer or some shit to jump out. I'm waiting on a old haggard man to come around the corner. I'm just waiting on anything to fuck with me, or I'm looking in the back to see if they following me. And I'm trembling. I still got my hand on my pistol now, and I am trippy. So after I do all I did left turn, 2 left turn, boom. Now I'm back on Colonia. Whew. Colonia Drive. Bam. So now I'm driving back. I'm in the light. Cool. I made it. Whew. I can breathe, y'all. I can breathe. Woo. So as I'm going up there, so I go back, I cashier my money for the night, make my tips and everything. And then everybody's laughing like, how was it? How was it? I say, well, pretty cool. The old lady, she was nice at first, but I say, then she got a little bitchy and shit. And I say, but all in all, she gave me a Bible, so she had some good in her. And they like, okay, good. So they say, you the only one that can go out there, you know. I say, what the hell you mean I'm the only one that can go out there? Say, because you're the driver with no fear. I said, bitch, I'm scared as hell. And the store manager, Kenny, was like, you're the driver with no fear. So, and that's our best customer. They get pizza deliveries like 3 times a day because she got to feed all of them boys like he knew her. And I said, oh. I said, I go in the daytime. I don't know if I can go at night. So they didn't order at night for a long time. But when they did order, they would ask for me to come out there. And I made it a regular thing, long as it was before 6 o'clock. I would go out there, drop it off. And she didn't speak. I didn't see her too much. I could see her looking through the window, just staring at me coldly. But her grandson, the younger one, and I'm gonna tell you his name is like Joshua. I think Joshua or Josiah. It's one of those kind of names with a J. And he's gonna play a big part of this story. Now, I'm not telling you the spooky part of this shit. I'm telling you the scary part of this bitch that I was afraid of. It is what it is. So I'm sitting up there, bam. So I go out there. I'm going up there, and I'm the only one. So I drop off the pizza. He come out there, give me the money. Same routine, gun in my hand. Daytime. The trucks didn't come unless it was like after 9 or 10. So one night, it's about 9:30, close to 10. We getting ready to close. I'm working the late shift, and I get a call, and she says, "Hey, I want Tyke to come out here," because I had got familiar with the younger son. I had got familiar with him, and like, "Hey, can Tyke deliver the pizza? We got a good tip for him. We gonna make sure he get gas money and get paid." So the store manager at the time was named Kenny. He said, "Well, we got like a 12 pie order," and everybody like, let me take it. And they say, "Nope, it's going all the way out there to Oakland, Florida, and they want Tyke to take it." They say they want Tyke to take it, and they like, "Oh yeah, you can go there, bro. You good?" Everybody like, "Nah, I'm straight." So I'm like, man, this shit. So I'm assuming this shit is gonna happen again. So again, I'm terrified, knot in my stomach. But the store manager, Kenny, gave me an extra $50 for going out there. He said, "I appreciate that. That's a good family." This is how he was saying, because he like knew them. He said, "I appreciate that. She been raising them boys a long time." I say, "No problem, Kenny." So, I load up, got my pistol. I don't tell nobody I walk with mine. So I get out there, and she comes to the door again, and she say, "Did you get a chance to read that book?" I say, "No, ma'am, I can't lie to you, mama." I say, "Ma'am, I haven't. I just been so busy with the kids and everything." She say, "You really need to read it." And she had a nice disposition this time around. So around by this time again, the same pickup trucks come, same loud blaring ass noises, same thing in the same beer, same scenario. So this time I left the car running with the headlights in it on so I can see, but I kind of turned as an angle so the lights wouldn't be blinding me like last time. I could still see shadows and movement. I could see in my car. So again, they pull up, loud music, beer jumping out, partying, woo, woo. And so this time they kind of block me in. So as I get the money and everything, and I'm walking back to the car, and I notice I'm blocked in and I couldn't move and I can't go forward. So I waved to him. I say, "Hey, who's driving this truck? Could you guys come and let me out?" I said, "You're blocking me up a little bit." And they were like, "Fuck you, fuck that, bitch." Now the racial slurs coming out. "Nigga, fuck that shit. You can leave when we done. We ain't coming out this bitch. We hungry." They just ravaging savagely. So then the mom come out, and she said, the grandmother, she say, "Stop it. Move the goddamn truck." She say, "Move it." And the younger brother, Josiah, either Joshua, he said, "Give me the keys." And he ran out there, and then he moved the truck over, and they kept calling him names like, "You pussy, you pussy, you pussy, you pussy." And he like, "Shut up, fuck it." So he gets him by 2 slices of pizza, go in the house and slams the door, and he's chilling in there, and they out there. So I pull off again. I ain't coming back. I look up in the tree, see the same 3 nooses. So this is a fucking racial shit I'm going through here. So I go to the order cash out, and I say, "Well, you know what? I'm not gonna go out there no more." I say, "Cause now it done got violent. It was cool at first. It's violent now." So I told Kenny, and he said, "Cool." So about 3 weeks passed. I got no orders from the house. We got no orders coming in. And Kenny was like, "Something's wrong." So he gets on the phone and he calls the people, and they inform Kenny that the grandmother passed away. And I was like, "Oh man." He's like, "Hey Eddie, so-and-so passed away." I say, "Oh man." I say, "The nice old lady?" She raised them boys. He kept saying, "She raised all them boys by herself." "Yeah, she passed away." So Kenny said, hey, she really like you because I used to talk to her every now and then. She said you had a good soul. And she said, I'm going to her repast. You want to go? And I said, yeah, man, I don't mind. I mean, he was my boss, and Kenny was really cool, man. When I say Kenny was cool, Kenny was cool. And so I said, yeah, I go. So I get dressed up and I go. And, well, I get dressed up, and it's the day of the funeral, and I check my glove box, remembrance. So I pull out the Bible, what she gave me, and I look inside the Bible. And inside the Bible, inside a verse in Matthews, and I can't remember to this date, so I don't want to make nothing up. I opened it up and I seen a letter, and the letter had Josiah or Joshua's name on it, and with the code to the safe. And I knew it was a code to the safe because she put L15, right 32, L24, something like that. So I'm assuming it was a code to a safe. And she put like a little heart circle down there at the bottom of it, and she put his name. So in my mind, I think she wanted me to give this to him. He was the youngest of the 13, the nicest one. So at the funeral and everything, I go and I'm following Kenny. Kenny was about 6'7", big white guy. Ain't nobody gonna mess with him. So I follow him, and when I say I'm the only black person in the building, other than the dudes that's gonna carry the casket out, I'm the only one, and I'm not the help. So he goes and look, and he put his hand on her casket, and I put my hand behind my back, and I'm holding the Bible she gave me in my hand. And Kenny gets up there, he says a few words. So then we get to walk around and view the body one more time, before we walk out the church or whatever, this auditorium thing, the funeral parlor that we was in. So something says, give him the book. So I went up to him, and I, bent down and I handed him the Bible, and I I say, could you read Matthews? I said, your grandmother gave me this. And he's boohoo crying, and he shakes my hand and said, thank you for giving this back to us. Now, that was the last I heard of that. I thought I was done. I ain't never had to go back. I thought I was done. So true Spook fans, here's the creepy part of this shit. And I can't make this up, and I wish I could have a camera to let you guys see and follow me through this. So I told him, you shouldn't open this in front of nobody. I say, she left you something and she trusted me to give it to you when the time is right. I don't know how she knew, but here it is. And he took the Bible, he put it in his jacket pocket, and later the rest. He goes home that night, and he opens it up, and he opens the safe. And I'm going off of what Kenny said to me. So I'm just speculating too, but this is what Kenny said. That book you gave Joshua, say that it contained the safe code, and inside the safe code, the grandmother had left him $10,000 in cash. She also left the deed of the house to him and the land and things of that nature. And I'm like, what? And say the other boys was planning to take the land for themselves and sell it off to the bank because it was a big piece of land, people. They would have started getting millions 20 years ago. So that land today got to be worth at least 15 today. So they was like, oh man, that's so good. He said, you're a good man. Kenny was like, you're a good man. You're just always going to be a great man. I just love you, brother, and everything, because again, he knew them. So I'm like, okay, cool. So pulling up into the store at Papa John's, I had got tired of working there, and I was about to quit and everything. And I'm like, I don't want to do it no more, Kenny. I'm finna get a better job, get an education, go back to school, do something better than this. And I say, but I could still moonlight in part-time when I need money. He say, sure, I keep you on payroll. I keep you on the books. Great, man. Kenny worked it out. So about my last night, second to my last night, Josiah or Joshua, I still don't know his name. He comes into the parlor and he's like, hey, can I talk to you? And like, what's your name? I'm like, Tyke. And he say, hey, Tyke, can I talk to you outside? I'm like, sure. He was always nice to me, so I ain't feel no threatening. So I come out there and he say, do you know what you did for me and my family? I said, I don't. He says, you gave us our property back. He say, my Mima trusted you, a black man, with the most important document that she have ever done in her life. He said, my Mima must have thought a lot of you. And say, if Mima thought this much of you, I think this much of you. So he say, in honor of you, I'm going to take the family nooses down out of that tree. And you're welcome to that property. And well, I made a joke. I say, I don't think I'm going to come back and hang with you, man. It's scary out there as it is. He say, oh, let me tell you about my cousins and my brothers. He say, all of those boys was adopted from the home, the shelter across the street from the Oakland Boys Ranch or Ocala Boys Ranch, one of the two with an O. He say, Mima just let them live here and she raised them. They wasn't kin. I was their only kin. I was Mima's only original grandson, grandbaby. And he said his parents wasn't around. So y'all do the math. So these guys stood to inherit that property, that land and everything. So as I'm sitting up there and I'm freaking the hell out, man, I'm like, oh man, damn, I didn't know. So this old lady trusted me, a racist old woman with a racist family, a racist background, trusted me, a black man, with the most important item to her. I could have left that thing in that book and never thought about that boy again. That house could have been put up for deeds and sales. It just, when she passed, I just heard that voice keep telling me, give this to him, give this to him, or open the book. So now we finna get into the spooky part. That was just the story, people. So after he talked to me for like 3 or 4 days, I just kept seeing this lady in my dreams. I could smell the odor of the house and everything. And I just kept seeing her in my dreams. And she wasn't happy in my dreams. She was kind of like angry and bitter. So I'm spooked out and I'm thinking, oh man, I done did the wrong thing. But when I actually sat down and looked at what she was saying in the dream, she always was pointing. She was always pointing at the nooses. And she was saying she wasn't happy about the nooses. And she wanted me to make sure he took those nooses down. So she kept telling me, go out there and tell him to take them down. I don't want him on the property anymore. It's not for him. She kept telling me that in the dream. So I say, ma'am, you're going to have to give me more than that in the dream, because I'm still spiritual. I'm just getting into my true spirituality. I say, ma'am, you got to give me more than that. And she says, tell him. And she gave me a name. The name was Georgia P. White. It's a female. She said, Georgia P. White. I don't know if this is a black woman. I don't know if this is a white woman. She keeps saying, mention Georgia P. White to him. Georgia P. White to him. Right now, everybody, something banging on my wall. I just heard a... That's crazy. So she told me Georgia P. White. So I goes to him and I say, hey. He said, I thought you wasn't ever going to come here. He said, you knew how good people ain't like that. And I'm like, I don't think you like that, brother. I say, but I say, I'm not going to stay long. I say, your grandma been visiting me in a dream. I say, and she can't let me rest. And he like, oh, she like you, I told you. And he was like, well, what's she saying? Tell me. And he sat down and he gave me a Coca-Cola. And I say, she told me to mention to you Georgia P. White. And he said, and his face went pure white. And he was like, Georgia P. White? I said, yeah, do that name ring a bell for you? And he said, oh my. And he started laughing. And he said, oh my. And he started crying. And he said, oh my. And he said, you got to be kidding me. And he said, oh my. And I say, I don't know what that means. I say, but you're freaking me the fuck out, bro. And he say, wait right here. He goes in the house, people, and he get an obituary of a mulatto woman, mixed breed woman. Get this now, mixed breed woman. And he goes in the house, he gets the obituary. He say, this is Georgia P. White. And he said, Georgia P. White. He said they kept saying she was my biological mama. That's what the 13 boys were saying to me. She was my biological mama. And they never liked me because I had a little bit of nigger blood in me because she was mixed. And I said, oh. And say they didn't accept my mama, and she died right here on the property because they hung her husband back in the day. Her husband died on the property, and then my daddy started messing with her, so what the people say, and then I was born. And say I was always the outcast, but my grandma showed me love. And he just was like bawling. So it's true she my mama. Because he didn't know. He had put it out of his mind that he could be related to a black person because he had more white skin tone. And I say, I don't know, man. I ain't finna get in that type of spiritual family shit. I say, this is what grandma said. And I say, I hope she gonna let me sleep. And he just gave me a hug. And he like, brother, I'm so sorry. Now we more brothers. And he just making all that stuff. And he just was saying all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah. And I knew it was emotional for him. But I'm getting the hell out of here. It's like 7 o'clock. It's the sun going down. I'm out. So as I was leaving, I stopped my car and I pointed up there. I say, take them down. I say, because your mother's original husband was hung there, she said. He instantly got a tree ladder and climbed up that thing and cut the whole branch down and burnt them nooses. Now, people, what are the fucking odds that this lady would come to me and have me go and tell this guy's mother's name? Now, to the best of my memory, I didn't have Google back then, so to the best of my memory, it was Georgia P. White. I'm gonna say the name because everything I'm telling you is God honest truth. You can Google this, however. So Georgia P. White. And he was up there just ecstatic because that was supposed to be his mother. But prior to the father having an affair with a mixed colored girl back in the day that made him, they killed her original husband because I guess either they worked on the plantation, worked on the farm, because this was a lot of acres, people. They worked there and they probably creeped her up. He tried to stop her and pop, pop, boom, boom. They strung him up right there. And the grandma never liked that. Sat there and said well with her. And she didn't like the fact that all these racist boys that she adopted, and raised, treated her original grandson like shit. But in all, he got the property. He inherited the property. And he found out he was a nickel black in him, I'm reckoning. And it was just a crazy scenario. And that's it, people. I haven't seen him again. I'm in my 40s. This happened 20-some years ago. I don't know what's happened to the property. I don't deliver pizza anymore. I don't know. And I don't want to find out. I'm not going up there. I know things are a lot liberal now, but I'm not going up there just to check. It won't happen. But yeah, everybody, again, that's not a true, spooky, scary up story. I give you names, cities, and time frames so you can look this up yourself. I don't know if Google keep an archive. I don't know if that name gonna be in the archives, but I'm telling you what, his grandmother came to me and was hunting me about 3-4 days to go out there and tell that boy that. And when I said that name, he just originally cried, got the obituary, and he told me about a murder that happened on the property back in the plantation days. So there you have it. I'm finna get off this thing, everybody. Next week I'll have a real true spook. All right, everybody, I'm tight. Telling you guys, please be careful how you treat people, because you never know what skeletons they got hanging around. Take care, everybody. God bless.